In order to drive a fuel pipe truck, the Pakistani car owner bought a burnt and fat truck. Although it looks like a pile of scrap metal now. After a simple renovation, it looks exactly like a new car. Imported cars in Pakistan are very expensive. In order to spend a small amount of money, the owner bought this pile of scrap metal at the scrapyard and planned to spend another 100,000 rupees to completely repair it. This truck wants nothing except the horn. Although the truck is still a whole, if it is to be successfully put on the road, the masters have to dismantle it for repair. However, because this fuel pipe truck experienced a fire accident, it has been scrapped and parked for more than 2 years. The iron key of the body is completely rusted. As for the master, the first thing to do is to deal with the oil tank. Under their skilled and fast operation, the oil tank was quickly separated. The chassis beam also needs to be disassembled. The master can only use the yoni ring to cut. If the anchor nail fixation cannot be disassembled without loss, cutting with the yoni ring is also the most effective method. The bottom of the fishing is fixed by bolts. After high temperature annealing and completely rusted, it cannot be used again. After the master disassembled the chassis beam, in order to make the annealed beam continue to be used, the repair shop had to use a new bent steel plate. The original car beam was pressed down and wrapped to improve the beam's bearing capacity. There was no error in the data of the steel plate, so it was welded and fixed while pressing down to avoid the strong downforce that would cause warping. The wild duck machine cooperated with the master's valve head to knock the lower beam. The layer of beams was also quickly stacked. Because spot welding left a lot of weld scars, the gap between the splices also needed to be polished to ensure that the side maintained the same flatness, because the new beam head also had a width difference. The part that was left out could only be cut and removed. The stacked beam remained consistent with the original appearance. Under the premise that the cutting surface was very rough, we had to use a large angle grinder to repeatedly grind. The stacked steel plate sealed all the bolt holes. Before the formal assembly, the master could only use an electric drill to restore the holes. In this way, the original crossbeam can be connected and fixed. However, they did not reinforce the crossbeam. As long as the strength of the beam meets the requirements, there is basically no impact. The master used a large number of anchor nails. After the crossbeam is fixed, the rear axle can be assembled now. In order to facilitate the installation of the balance shaft, the rear axle must first be pushed under the vehicle. The balance shaft can be docked with the beam in the middle. Since this tanker only has a frame left, the main accessories are mainly second-hand accessories. After 3 days of assembly by the masters, the basic prototype of this truck has appeared, although the engine and the driving are all purchased second-hand parts. After a simple repair by the masters, the truck has completed its transformation. Because the original oil tank of the car can no longer be repaired, in order to prevent oil leakage in future use, the owner also directly ordered a new oil tank. Only the capacity of the oil tank was upgraded, and even the number of chassis axles was increased. So this accident scrapped car was repaired. What is the effect?